Hello and welcome to the Miscast table. My name is Jonas.
My name is Martin.
And today we'll walk you through the latest addition to the old world as we take you through the new Arcane journal.
Yeah.
And I'm really liking these new Arcane journals. I think that's probably one of the more clever things that I have added to the old world, where they make it so that you don't actually need to have a new codec to add something new to the game. You can have everything in like the Ravenous Hordes and the Forces of Fantasy, and still we get these new updates to the game where we get new ways to build armies, and we get new medical items, we have a few named characters, and a couple of new lores and units. So it's like a way to introduce new stuff to the game without actually needing to re-release whole codexes.
Exactly. And one of the things I was keen to see in the old world was new scenarios as well.
And there's one kind of interesting one in this book.
There's just one. But
it's very thematic.
Yeah.
And it's one of those classical setups. It's going to be showcased on the channel, so we're not going to spoil that one. But we are going to talk and discuss and review the upcoming new Armies of Infamy.
Yeah. And starting off, we have a Nomadic Waaagh, which is basically a fully mounted Orcs and Goblins army.
Yeah, very thematic.
Very thematic, with its own special rules, and you're a bit thin down in what units you can pick, and the characters has to be mounted. But then we are presented with a black orc boar chariot as well. So you can still take the black orc bosses, war bosses and big boss, but you have to put them on a black orc boar chariot.
Yeah, you can put them on you don't have to, you can take them
but
war.
You can take it. And that unit is 40 points more.
Yeah, so it's a bit expensive, but if you really want that like cool looking themed army, I'm really glad that you have the option now to pick such a model, because the upside you get from taking the Black Orc chariot as opposed to the regular chariot is that you get one additional strength on the mobs on the chariot, and they also have one more weapon skill. So for 40 points, I think that's a bit costly, but still, like having the option is nice.
But there are downsides and there are upsides. One of the major downsides.
You don't get the quell animosity on the Black Orc characters, and
so they are ferocious to get into the fight. They're described as the scouting units, the going ahead and traveling around, and so they're quick, they're mobile, they're very agile, and I would say they are gonna be fun to play and hard to master. I suspect since they have the impetus and no way to quell it, they're gonna be a bit swingy.
Yeah, a bit unreliable.
Yeah, but that's probably the fun part of it all.
I actually really like impetus. I think it's one of those rules that I kind of want as many units as possible to have it, because it brings a bit of randomness into the game.
Yeah.
Like a unit can be strong, but if they charge at the wrong time, it can absolutely mess up the game plan, and you need to rethink the strategy once again on the fly.
If you're wrongly positioned, the opponent will always use that to your disadvantage, like rubber band.
Yeah.
But now you can give many of the units. You can give them ambush as well.
Okay, that actually brings a bit of control back into the army, because then you can set them up in such a way that it doesn't really matter if you fail the impetuous test, because you're going to go into the rear or the flank arcs of the opponent and get some good hits in, and then you have your main force up front.
Might be quicker games.
Yeah, swingier games, as you said.
Yeah, and the Goblin Wolf Riders, they get to exchange open order and skirmishers for close order and horde.
Okay, so you can actually take them in bigger groups, I suppose.
Yeah, and you can pick the way you want to play the Goblin Wolf Riders.
So because I think Wolf Riders is fun, and we should mention that Mons is actually lucking out on this one, because in a previous tournament that we had an AI tournament where the AI picked the list that each of us were going to play. He ended up with a list that had 30 Wolf Riders.
Yeah. He had to expend by 25 or something, and he did. They're not fully painted, but he's
on his way.
On his way.
So he's actually going to be able to play this kind of army, like the Nomadic Waaagh.
Definitely, and we're gonna force him to
Yeah.
to paint up the last few things.
The last thing I kind of want to touch upon this army is that the drawback, as you mentioned when building the army, is that you don't get access to every part of the regular Orcs and Goblin army. So you don't get to add in the war machines in this army, and you don't get to have the Night Goblins and the Fanatics when you play them.
It's become a staple unit in the old world.
Fanatics are really strong. And you don't get the regular squigs either, and I think the squigs, they are very hard hitting, so you probably need to utilize the strong boar riders instead in some manners. But really cool looking setup for an army.
Yeah, and the second army is
probably your favorite.
My favorite, absolutely my favorite, and it's gonna be played. But that's a Troll Horde, I think it's called, if I am correct. And it's exactly what it sounds like, where you get a totally new way to build your army. You have to have 33% in core, and one of those units has to be a troll. And for each troll hag, which is back, you get to pick another unit of troll models.
In the core slot.
In the core slot, yeah.
Because you can take them in the special slot as well. And completely max out the army of just trolls.
Totally max out. I haven't done the math. I think you can take almost 36 trolls. like you take 2 units of 9 in core, and you take 2 units of 9 in special. And you get the troll hag, and you still have points over for a small goblin BSB to run around.
That sounds kind of
But I don't have 36 rolls.
No,
I just want to add that I have 24.
But you have I have almost. So you are lined up to, and you need to play this army because your army is super cool.
Absolutely. And they have very good special rules. I would say.
We should mention one of the staple things about trolls is that they have stupidity, and that is a really problematic rule at times.
Yeah.
Because with their low leadership, it makes it so that when you need them the most, they might just stumble forward and do nothing.
Yeah. Like with the animosity from the orcs and goblins, stupidity is worse because you just stumble.
And with the rules in the old world, you don't get to re-roll it with the battle standard. If the general is beyond range to use his aspiring presence, you need to test against their horrendous leadership of 5. And it's just the worst feeling when you absolutely need trolls and then you roll a 7 and they can't even
But there is a fix.
Yeah.
There is a fix in the special rules. First and foremost, in a troll horde, you get to reroll the regeneration saves.
That's absolutely disgustingly strong.
It's 5+ on trolls, and to reroll, they're gonna be so hard to kill.
Yeah, that's really good. And you get that rule for everything? Every troll unit?
Yeah. Or every model with the regeneration.
Okay, so if you have a character, they get to reroll. If you have a troll on the table, they get to reroll.
Yeah.
So that's
everything. Every model in the army get the enhanced regeneration. It's not better in value, but you get to reroll.
Yeah, and rerolling is really strong.
So you go from 33% to
50.
50.
Yeah. So that's
they're gonna be a chewy unit to get through.
Yeah.
The combat resolution. Regeneration, the wounds cost still counts to combat resolution. So,
and if you fail combat, their low leadership is still going to haunt you. So it's seldom that you're going to be able to fall back in good order. Because if you roll that 8 and you have lost combat, then you might just run away and flee.
But the way to not lose combat is to cause a lot of wounds. Yeah. They have 3 attacks each and they hit hard.
Yeah, they hit hard, and with regeneration they stick on the table. And as you mentioned, you can even give them great weapons. Then they get strength 7. There's a lot of monsters that are not going to be willing to go anywhere near them. No. Like wounding a Star Dragon on a 3+. That's not great for the.
But they are described as the worst thing to come through the whole world. They totally empty out villages and so on.
Yeah.
There is a small but fun fact in the description of the army. The trolls are not known for having banners and so on, but they very, very nicely describe where they put up stones to mark their territory and so on, and add to them so people see the trolls are near, and they're depicted in the pictures and everything. But there's nothing in the rules about these stones.
Okay, so it's kind of like a minor flavor fail. where you
Yeah.
could have like
I would love to see like a
Totals,
magical item
yeah.
or something you can put out to enhance the leadership or something, like you're in our territory. So that's just a fun thing I noticed. Not game breaking, but they had a chance to add some little flavor.
Yeah, and the trolls, they have some additional rules as well. Like, they have it so that you can take additional characters, get the rule where they can inspire the trolls and you can use their command range to solve their
Exactly.
leadership test.
Exactly, and that's on the shamans and
The weird boys and the weird
yeah,
mobs.
like the magicians.
Yeah.
They get like the general's inspiring presence for the troll mobs.
Yeah,
Just the trolls, they can use magicians.
Yeah, but that's really good because then you can put them up to leadership 8 or even 9, depending on what character you bring, and that significantly improves the chances of not having poor stupidity tests.
No, but the characters are gonna be alone.
Yeah, because they can normally not join the troll units.
No.
So yeah, but
also a lot to do with movement. You have to be careful, but the troll army is gonna wanna engage,
push forward,
yeah,
use their high toughness, their high regeneration with rerolls, and just stick on the table and deal damage. And they have some new fun models. We have already mentioned it. The Troll Hag. I think that's a really cool model.
It is. It is a really cool model, and I can't remember exactly, but she was in previous editions. And she has basically the same rules. So she's costed as a giant, a bit costier giant at 235 points. She is a level 1 magician with toughness 5, 6 wounds, 5 in movement.
Yeah, okay. 200 points is the cost for a giant, and you add 35 for the wizard level. That seems kind of fair still.
Yeah.
And
that's only level 1. If you want her to be a level 2, that's another 35 points.
Yeah,
so
but that's on par for what wizard levels usually cost. It is a downside, I would say, that you can only bring her up to level 2.
Yeah.
Because that makes it so, in a duel of magic, she is always going to be
on the losing side.
On the losing side against level 4. It's just not mathematically viable to have such an expensive wizard that's only level 2. So you either need to keep her...
It is not, but she's also a very capable
fighting unit.
And again, she's not the kind of wizard that's gonna roam around and enhance units and hex and everything. She wants to be in combat.
Yeah. So if you get this spell off, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
It's not really necessary. It's not how she should be.
No. But there's one more thing I thought about in that aspect. If you have a level 2 wizard, you're very keen to locking up the opponent's wizard as well.
They want to be within...
Yeah, you want to
24.
force your own units into combat to lock them up so they can't dispel.
Yes, and in a battle of wizards, this wizard is going to win quite a lot of combats because she's that strong.
Yeah. She's as a giant, she has her giant special attacks.
Yeah. I should mention that you never ever want to use her regular weapon skill on attack. She has weapon skill 2 and 3 attacks, meaning that she will very rarely hit anything. She has a really good strength value of 6, but her I don't know what the special rule is. I have it in my black book. Motherly love. Yeah. All of the results that you can get on a D6 is best in show.
Yeah.
1 to 2, you get to place a template onto the opponent's unit. You can absolutely crush a infantry block with it. She has the mother attack on the 3 to 4 result, which has, I think it's D3 plus 1 wounds against the character. It's just gonna kill any regular characters on foot.
No armor saves.
No armor saves allowed. They are just dead if she ever gets close. The absolute nightmare fuel is getting the opponent's wizard in melee with her. She's just gonna eat them up.
It's a golden moment.
Yeah. And the result of 5 and 6 is superb as well. You get 1 additional D6 stomps basically.
Yeah.
And she has stomps in addition, D6, which makes it so that you get 2 D6 stomps at strength 6. That's that's a ton of damage.
If she survives. Which she might do.
She has toughness 5 and regeneration with reroll. Yeah. She's going to be hard to deal with.
Also slimy shanks. She has -1 to hit.
Yes, that's a really good ability as well.
That's it's not bad at all.
And yes, she has like this troll vomit cherry on top.
Yeah.
After all of the attacks, she has like a vomit attack that she gets to make, where it's like 1 additional chance to deal some damage.
Her fighting phase is gonna be short but very intense. She's gonna
very
puke
random.
and hug them and stomp them and everything.
He's probably like, I don't think that she's absolutely top tier, but probably B tier. Yeah. I think that she is a good staple for the troll army, and you probably want to include her in most lists.
Yeah, of course, you get an additional troll in the core.
Yeah,
and she also has a ability at the start of turn sub phase where you can, if you are in close combat, she wants to eat something, and you have to take an initiative test. Otherwise, she eats a unit and she regains her wounds. So she might have some sustainability as well.
Yeah, and like regaining 1 wound where you have 5 toughness and regeneration reroll. That's gonna be like disgusting at times if you get it in a couple of rows in a turn.
It is,
but it also is kind of hard to set up such a scenario, because if you need to be in combat at the start of the turn, that means that you need to like either have an absolute draw, so that both you and the opponent have the same combat result, or you need or a follow-up from a fall back in good order,
which is going to be hard.
Yeah, it's not always going to happen, because the opponent is going to be wary. Do I really want to follow up and eat that special rule, or should I just like make another charge attack and avoid it?
But flavorful unit.
Absolutely.
And like with the giants previously, they're just fun to play. Like the randomness, the description of what happens. It's like you're thrown into a Dungeons and Dragons game or something. It's very descriptive.
Yeah, I really think that the game benefits from such
Absolutely.
like models and rules. Like it makes it so much more like experience and like event. Where things happen that are like almost narrative. You can almost write a short story of the game where you face off against
the special attacks are written that way. I feel it enhances the gaming experience, because swordsman against swordsman is just they hit each other with swords, but this is really descriptive. Like he tries to grab them, and when giants die, they fall over and cause damage and so on. That's like a mini movie in the game.
Yeah, I'm really liking so far what I've seen from the Arcane Journal.
Absolutely. But there are, with the Troll Hag and with the Troll Army of Infamy, you also get a new lore, which the Orc Shamans can take, and that's the lore of troll magic.
Yeah, and you have a signature spell, and it's kind of like important to this army, and at the same time,
very important.
At the same time, I don't really want to down talk the whole lore, but I think it is a bit on the weaker side.
It is. Summarize the whole lore. It's you want the signature spell. That's basically it.
Yeah, and there are a couple of good spells.
There is, absolutely, and they are very thematic to the army. But the signature spell, Big Smarts, it lets you re-roll failed stupidity test.
Yeah, and that's also really good at solving the core issue with this army. So you basically want to have your wizards at the center of the army alongside other general models that have their inspiring presence, and then you cast this spell, and then you can actually almost reliably use your units.
Yeah, because you wanna, your biggest weakness is the stupidity. You wanna narrow that down to the absolute minimum.
Yeah, because
ESP to reroll rallying test, it's gonna be a hard clash and stuff disappear from the table. I would say the signature spell is the beast.
Yeah. But then you have the problem of only having level 2 on the Troll Hag. So you kind of want to have a level 4 weird knob as well, where you then have to spell some points on a magical item so that they can take this. Or can they actually take the lore of troll magic at all times if you are running a troll army? That might be one of the Armies of Infamy rules, right?
Yeah, the Armies of Infamy depicts that the Orc Shamans can get access to.
Okay. So you can always have
accepted by the troll community. So
the troll community of the internet.
Yeah. But there are
6 other spells. As well.
And the first one is bad. I would say not bad. It's
not terrible, but not really good.
There are replacements in other lores, but
Yeah.
again, it's a bit narrowed down. You get this or combat magic, I think, the lore of troll magic or the combat magic.
Yeah, like battle magic.
Yeah, battle magic.
Yeah.
Sorry. Acidic Bile is the first one, it's a magic missile where you put a small template, it scatters
D6.
Yeah, and hits
Yeah.
D3 plus 1, strength 4.
I think
Strength
it's 3 with
Yeah.
AP minus 2.
Yeah.
So like I kind of like the AP minus 2 part.
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of small template and scatter.
No.
I think from what I've learned from playing the game, I think that war machines that act like a stone thrower isn't really premium because of the new way that you test partial models that are partially hit by a template.
Yeah.
You need to roll a 4+, and if you get unlucky, you can have very few models impacted by a template, and then you also need to test to roll to wound, and mathematically
You lose out.
Yeah, mathematically you often lose out.
Yeah, but spell number 2, fun. It's just, I can't say good or bad, but it's fun. It's a hex spell where you give, or you hex them with stupidity. Enemy unit gains stupidity and lowered leadership by 1.
But that's kind of good, actually. Like, what's the range on that spell?
What is it? It's 15 inch.
15 inch, because having the opponent need to test stupidity and then you also at the same time reduce their leadership, that can be game breaking. You can win games by that alone.
Yeah.
Like they stumble forward, get into a bad position, and then you like hit them with a troll train.
Because that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The trolls wanna be in combat.
Yeah, like -1 to leadership is impactful in combat as well. That might be the difference between falling back in good order and going into panic and fleeing.
It remains in play.
Okay, so
turn.
yeah, fun spell. I don't know exactly how strong it is. I think it's like good, but the randomness of when your opponent fails the leadership is going to make it so that certain armies have a more difficult time with this. I can see this one being kind of good against Beastmen with their lower leadership, or against Ogres. They would probably not like getting this spell in the head.
Not at all.
But against like dwarves or high elves, it's gonna be a bit less impact.
Yeah. But I like spell number 3, Ravenous Recourse, where you gain. It's a conveyance spell. So it's cast in the movement phase after the charges, and you give every unit with stupidity +2 movement.
Okay, that's kind of like interesting. Then you can like really get up close and personal.
Yeah.
You don't get this in the charge. Use this to set up a future turn.
Yeah, but I like it, and they're movement 6 trolls.
Yeah.
So they're movement 8.
And then you can like put them in a marching column.
Yeah.
And then you can just go 24 inches over the table, park them next to them.
This is me. I'm here now. Get used to it.
It does mean, on the other hand, that they need to pass a stupidity test the next turn, being outside of
Yeah.
But it's like all trolls within 12 inch of the caster.
Yeah.
You can like really move the whole army. Like that's probably one of the best utility conveyance spells I've seen.
Yeah.
Like it affects such a large amount of models, and if you cast this in the early start of the game, it doesn't really matter that you're only level 2 wizard, because the opponent is going to be further away than 24 inches, so they only get that army-wide dispel attack. So this one can actually do some work, I think.
Yeah, and I wouldn't die on this hill, but I wonder if this is the first lore I see where it's one of each. You have one magic missile, magical vortex, hex, assailment, enhancement, and there's one of each.
Yeah, it might be actually. I think that illusion might have one of each as well.
Might be. Well, it's a broad toolbox.
I don't know about magic missile. It might be that illusion doesn't have magic missile. I can't remember on top of my head.
Yeah, but the fourth spell, the magical vortex, it's basically Foot of Gore with a smaller template, shorter range, more expensive to cast at a 9+, and it's also weaker.
Okay, so it's
a bit more accurate, but still weaker.
And, like in the same aspect as the first acidic bile spell, small template that scatters. I'm not really interested.
No, but it can make some work because you place it, and then the next start of turn sub phase, it moves.
Yeah, but it's random movement.
It's random movement.
Like certain magical vortex at least have it so that you can direct it and then it goes in. Like you don't get to know exactly how far it goes, but this one can end up anywhere.
And the fifth one, Torrent of Filth, Assailment spell. That's the, what did it say?
That's the flame template, right?
Yeah.
It's like a breath weapon that you get to use in combat.
Yeah.
And
it's... put it sideways to a unit. That's a lot of
hits.
A lot of footprints.
Yeah. And it's like strength 3, AP -2.
Yeah.
This one can deal some damage, but you need to get your wizard into combat with something, and you need to, like, that basically means that you want it on the troll hag.
Yeah. And you can't pick 12% chance.
Yeah, 12% chance. Like, you might get this one on a level 4 orc mob.
That means I have to find a way to build a orc weird boy on a chariot that is also cave themed.
Yeah, like
that's a challenge.
That's a challenge.
Something to work on.
Yeah, but it would be cool if you like managed to fit it into the army.
Yeah, I have the dragon ogres. Yeah. Like I had to make them as little, as non-advanced as possible. Like shave off all the armor.
You don't have any metal.
No, I want to have like creatures in that themed army. So a chariot is it's a hefty challenge for me.
But you might have like the Fred Flintstone outfit.
Like legs running.
like you have the legs running, and then you have like the stone wheels.
Oh, that's so nasty. Might be.
Okay, I have some ideas.
You've sown a seed in my head, but the last spell of the lore of trolls is the rapid regeneration, an enhancement spell where you give a unit flammable and regeneration 5+.
Okay, so this is basically one of the weird spells of the lore, where the troll army don't need it because it actually has this one on most of the units. But if you pick the lore of trolls for another army, because you can actually take an item that grants you access to this spell, then you can like play this lore in a regular Orcs and Goblin army and give regeneration to your Night Goblins or whatever.
Just for fun.
On
a 9+, though.
Yeah, it's not. This one is probably one of the weaker spells of the lore.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah,
because it doesn't stack.
It doesn't stack.
I would understand if it's stacked, so you get the.
But that would be absolutely
4 or 3+ regen with rerolls.
Yeah, but like imagine 3+ regen with rerolls. Toughness 5, like oof. Oh no,
that would be tough.
No, thank you.
But that's the lore, and that's the armies, the characters.
Yeah, let's talk a bit about the first character. I have him in my black book. It's Kiknik Tooth Snatcher. It's a goblin war boss of sorts. You can actually quite easily compare him against a regular goblin war boss that has mounted a wolf. That one costs 75 points, and this one costs 105 points. So they are like comparable of sort. The lore for Kiknik is that he is like this bullied little goblin that somehow finds himself befriending like a very evil and vicious wolf, like basically Silver Fang, like this beast he tames, and then he goes on a rampage against all of his former nemesis and bullies, and the wolf eats gobbles them up. And then he like claims command of a scouting like Nomadic Waaagh party. And he like roams the border regions, wreaking havoc wherever he goes. He has a kind of good weapon skill of 5, strength 4, toughness 4 attacks actually. So like Goblin Warboss stat lines. But the thing that makes this one stand out is that he has like both some nifty special rules and a very good weapon. He has the all sneaky-like, which makes it so that you can give one unit of Goblin Wolf Riders ambushes for free. So that's basically like 5 to 10 free points. And then he has the ambusher rule himself, and that's like 10 free points in addition.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of added value.
If you use him correctly, he's 10 points more expensive than a regular.
Like you could in this army you get some additional value out of his 105 points. He has a trophy rack, which makes it so that you gives the unit that he is in a +1 combat resolution result when you are fighting. But the thing that really puts him on top of everything else is his weapon, because like stat wise you have like, I would say like roughly 80 points of worth in him, but he has this the Skull Smash Out weapon that has 2 different weapon modes, because why not, like add everything onto him, and it has so that he gets +2 to his strength roll and -1 AP, or the other mode he has his regular strength value of 4, but then he has AP -2, but with the multiple wounds 2 rule. So a very good weapon for like point-wise 20 to 30 points.
Yeah.
This is like
Armor Bane, magical.
Yeah, it's magical Armor Bane. It's like better than anything you can get in the core rulebook. I think actually this unit, when you tally everything up, he is premier. I think this is a very good hero alternative. I kind of think that if you are playing a unit that wants that kind of roaming hero, ambushing hero, or if you actually want the Wolf Riders to join him, then you should definitely consider him. I think he's A+ for sure. I think that he's not gonna like take down Star Dragons. That's not his purpose.
No.
But he's very easily gonna earn back his points.
Yeah.
Like 4 attacks at strength 6, at initiative 5. That's
put him in a unit
dangerous.
of 9 Wolf Riders.
Yeah, and like roam and terrorize the border
Put
regions.
them in ambushers, and they also get fear, right?
I think that
They can't-
the wolves have fear naturally. And
but
he also has like rallying cry, warband rule. He has that impetuous rule that isn't really beneficial for him, but that kind of goes alongside the Orcs and Goblin army.
It does. And they get, in a turn where you charge, you get +1 combat result.
Yeah.
Also great.
Yeah,
so if you tally in 4 attacks and +1 combat result, you
can
could
win
and should win combat.
Yeah, like I think he's a good character.
At least fight out knock and fight on the charge. He's great.
Yeah,
and he can fight against a lot of things. He's strength 4, so if you do the strong attack with not much AP, strength 6.
Yeah, like he can like actually chip away
nasty.
damage against dragons and trolls and
chariots and
giants.
everything. There's one more character.
There's one more character. The other one is Ogdruz Swampdigga, and this is a shaman that somehow found himself stumbling into a wasteland region where he picked up a disguise for himself. It's like a dead troll hide, and it's like the backstory of this is so cruel on his part, because he's basically like adopted by a troll hag and force-fed like troll stew, so that he becomes like this adoptive son of the troll clan. He is a level 3 wizard, and you cannot upgrade his wizard level. He has a special ability where he gets +1 to cast if he is near a unit of trolls. He can benefit from the Look Out Sir if he is near trolls, so you can actually like protect him, as opposed to other infantry type casters if they are like. He has a 5+ region flammable special rule, kind of like the trolls, and he has like a kind of good toughness value of 5. That's probably the standout part of this character, like toughness 5. Region 5+, 3 wounds, but he is a bit on the expensive side, costing 195 points. That's like 55 points more expensive than a level 3 Weird Knob. And if you upgrade the level 3 Weird Knob to a level 4 Wizard, he's still 20 points more expensive.
Yeah.
And like the special rules that you get isn't really what you want out of a wizard. I kind of think that he is cool, very thematic. I hope to see him on the table, but he's probably like balanced. I would.
What did you say? 30 points more expensive?
Like 20. He's 195 points to purchase. And if a level 3 Weird Knob costs 140, so 55 points more.
The 5+ region is basically television. which is 40. But on his own, he's
like,
a stand-up guy. He's gonna be around.
And
shoot him down with arrows.
No, he has toughness 5, and he's like get that look also. It might be that I undervalue like his durability, but I kind of think that he's a bit expensive. I could set it to call him balanced.
Yeah, I would agree. But
I kind of wish that he was a level 4 wizard.
Yeah.
If he were a level 4 wizard, then for sure I think it would be played. A level 3, he's gonna struggle at times with the spells. Sure, he gets +1 to cast, but he doesn't get that dispel ability.
Besides characters, we have 2
mercenaries.
New units, 2 mercenaries.
Yeah.
So the Badland Ogre Bulls is basically the same as Ogre Bulls from the PDF, but they can have heavy armor for 4 points per model, and they have the options to take great weapons, and they are what's that called? The Motley Crew.
Yeah, Motley Crew. You can mix them around. Like.
Yeah, so you can have 1 heavy weapon, 1 with additional hand weapons. So you can mix and match them a bit.
Yeah.
The annoying part is they are misbehaving mercenaries rule.
Yeah, so you have 1d6 and then you can get a negative.
There is a small chance that they are gonna get nerfed before you get to place them. But
I kind of want to say in Orcs and Goblins, you have access to trolls, and I think that trolls are like better in so. But like plus point for the models coming back, I think that the Ogre models look super cool. I really want to get my hands on them.
Yeah. Then we have the big.
Yeah, the big, like this is the reveal, and this one is the one that breaks Linehammer. This is like the...
Definitely.
It's kind of like someone at Games Workshop have been like looking at like Luke Braxill's videos, like having heard the online discourse about monsters and dragons, and like I have the unit to solve it. I'm gonna put it in the Orcs and Goblins.
It's a weird way to balance the game, but fun. The Bonegrinder giant.
And this one is a classical unit as well. Like it's been around.
Yeah, it's 300 points, and besides from a normal giant, you get +1 strength, and you get 8 wounds instead of 6.
It's going to be really hard to take down.
It is, but he has the little things and the big things and the bigger things chart. Yeah. Instead of just 1 chart, he's back to basics with
3 charts.
Yeah, and all of that hacks, as we were mentioning previously, thematic, fun stuff happening on the table, like very illustrative.
And like narratively written. If he gets into combat, it's kind of like he writes his own story. Yeah. What is going to happen this turn? And he is unbreakable, which is a really strong rule as well. Like you are not going to be able to like take this one down. You need to kill him, and 8 wounds at his toughness value is not that easy to deal with. No. Especially as he's going to be like dealing d6 +1 stomps each turn against you, in addition to his shard. And I kind of want to like mention one of the results that you can get with this unit. On the small shard, you can get a result that is grind its bones, where if you would face an opponent, like the ideal scenario is that you're going to play someone that has the Linehammer setup ready to go, and this guy is going to crash into them. Then every model in the fighting rank needs to test against initiative, or they are outright removed. It's just gonna like grind them to dust. So there's like no upper limit to how much damage this ability can deal.
Well, it's just how far you want to spread out your line.
Like
the picket fence.
Yeah, the picket fence. Like you have the Dwarven Rangers all raring to go, 50 wide. Every one of them has to test initiative, and all of them just crumble. That's like Happy Dreamland scenario, but
but at 300 points,
it's a bit expensive.
It's a bit expensive. Yeah. That's a good portion of your army, but cool model, retro.
Yeah, I'm loving this one. I really want to see this one. I don't know how competitive it is because he is so random. You can get results that you absolutely don't want at times where you don't need them, and when you really need a specific result,
you're not gonna get it. No. That's just that easy. But he is. You can take him as a what's it called? Mercenary.
Mercenary, yes.
In the Orcs and Goblins, Warriors of Chaos, and Beastman Raiders.
Yeah. And I really like that the name for this is not just mercenary; it is Dogs of War.
Yeah.
I just want to point that one.
It's the same on the Ogre Badland Ogre Bulls. So that's the mercenaries.
Yeah. And then we have one final part of this video where we go through the medical items.
Yeah.
We had Mon's prepared this list for us. It's a bunch of like
17 magical items.
17 medical items. On par is that not everyone is gonna like be game breaking.
No.
Most of them is gonna be fun. Like I really like that they are expanding the choices for each army. So I'm not gonna like down talk any one of them too much, because having more options is not a downside ever.
No.
Like more options is good for the game. The first one is bigger, choppier axe. It's basically a great weapon. You get strike last +2 strength, AP -2. That's exactly like required 2 hands. That's a great weapon. But you also get killing blow and medical attacks.
Yeah.
And the question is that actually worth the 55 points that it costs? Like 55 points for killing blow seems kind of expensive.
No, you can take the Headsman Axe, 1 lower strength than AP, but exactly the same for 45 points.
Yeah, so that's like, and you don't get like strike last.
Yeah, or the great weapon for 4 points.
Yeah, I kind of want to go for the great weapon.
So I wouldn't say 51 points for killing blow.
Kind of on the expensive side.
Let's see if I can do that. Martok's Best Basha. 50 points for strength +1, AP -1, magical attacks, and +1 initiative and weapon skill.
Interesting, like that's a mixed bag of like bonuses.
Yeah.
But all in all, also kind of expensive.
Yeah.
I kind of think that the Headsman's Axe that we mentioned previously outranks this one. Not everyone has access to that one, I know, but for 50 points, I kind of want my medical weapons to do a bit.
Yeah, I would definitely agree.
We have another orc weapon, the Accurate Axe. This one being a more humbly costed. 30 points, you get +1 strength during the first round of combat. You get armor being 1, medical attacks. But with this one, you basically get hatred. You get to re-roll to hit rolls. And that's really good, I think.
30 points, yeah.
Like, if you have a model that has a ton of attacks, getting re-roll to hits is very strong. I think that... like hatred as an ability, I value around, like, depending on the number of attacks, like around 30 points I think is a fair cost for this one, and you get +1 strength, so...
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, you can put it on champions.
It might have to be an elite champion, because most normal regular champions only get 25 points worth of medical items.
Yeah, and by the time you're going to spend 30 points on something that needs reroll to hit, I'm not sure.
Okay, I'm kind of liking this one.
You do?
Yeah, agree to disagree?
Yeah, we can do that. The Backstabber's Blade is the next, that's 25 points. +1 strength, AP -1, magical attacks, reroll wound rolls when you're in the flank, rerolls to hit, and to wound when in rear. But it's only for Night Goblin and Goblin bosses.
Okay, so 25 points for +1 strength, AP -1.
Yeah.
Is that good enough?
Kind of like the bonuses depending on where you stand.
Yeah, but you always get +1 strength, -1 AP. So it's kind of like Sword of Might, which costs 20 points.
Yeah.
So for 5 additional points, you get to reroll to wound when you're flanking, and reroll to hit and to wound when in the rear.
It's gonna be placed on a strategically chosen unit that is gonna go into the rear.
Yeah,
otherwise it's
ambushing goblin war bosses, perhaps. I think it's fair. Dead Armor, 35 poins. You get a full plate, meaning a 4+ armor save, but you also get +1 toughness. This one is really good, and I think 35 points is the sweet spot. I think this one is probably even a bit like on the cheap side.
+1 toughness at 35 points, I would say, like character-wise, when you build them, if you give them 1 more toughness, that's
really good.
35.
I think that you quite likely want to have this on a Orc or Black Orc war boss.
Yeah.
Putting them on toughness 6, making them very hard to wound.
Put them on a chariot as well.
Yeah.
That could be real fun.
Yeah, I think this one is superb.
That's nice. The Spiteful Shield. Enemies that roll a 1 on the to hit roll suffers a strength 4 hit.
It's kind of like a Beastman army of all.
Yeah.
They have that, like, 7th edition Beastman used to have, like, on the Doom Bull. You could get an item wherever you made an armor save, then you, like, did a strength.
Yeah. It's useful on a character that your opponent is forced to hit against. Less useful if you can just hit into the unit instead.
Yeah.
So it's a single model.
Yeah, it's only on a roll of 6. that you trigger this ability. So I don't really know how good this one is, but it might be like a deterrent, like putting thoughts in the opponent's head, like making it so that they don't really want to attack.
I want to kill your BSB, but can I afford it?
Yeah, do I really want to attack him? Because it might trigger a blowback attack.
Yeah.
And if you have a bunch of attacks coming in, like every 6th of them is going to, on average, be a wound back. And you can get unlucky. Like roll 3 once, and then you are like behind.
And back to basics.
Yeah. I don't know.
20 points.
20 points, like a shield is...
Might be fun.
Well, Sparkly Wizard Finder. Like, now we get into the weird Arcane and talisman items. This one gives hatred against enemy wizard. I can't count on one hand the number of times I've gotten to reroll to hit rolls against wizards. You are not in combat with them all that often.
Yeah.
But you do get magic resistance -2 as well. Yeah. But for 45 points, it seems kind of weak.
I don't see ever using this pretty much.
Like,
you can take the Spell Eater Axe and you get AP -2 and magic resistance 2 as well at 10 points less.
Yeah, and then you also get medical attacks. So
yeah.
I kind of think that this one is hard.
Like it's too hard costed. Yeah. The Effigy of Mork. Enemy models get -1 to hit against this model in close combat at 35 points.
Seems
they're
fair.
Always good.
Yeah, like it's always like -1 to hit this staple. And if you have the points to spare, like if you can have a high weapon skill model where the opponent is only going to be likely to hit at 4+, and then you tack this one on, put them at 5+ to hit, it's gonna like increase your survivability a ton. Probably. Like if you can pair this with the +1 toughness armor as well, you could make a really tough Black Orc Warboss with this.
On a chariot.
On a chariot.
-1 to hit. 35 points. Might see some play.
Some standards then. The Angry Lads flag. Kind of liking the name. Not so sure that I like the rule. The unit gains Frenzy. And Frenzy has its uses.
Absolutely.
But really make sure that you put it in a unit that can afford to make a failed shard. Don't go and like...
Big block of...
like don't put this on your most important unit and then have them fail shard so that your opponent can bait them around the table. Yeah. You probably want this one on a unit that has a bit more mobility.
You want to go with this one?
The Spider Banner. This one is a staple. It's always been good, and it's going to be good in this edition as well. The unit that carries the Spider Banner gains poison attacks. And if they have poison attacks already, it improves so that you get to trigger poison attacks on 5s and 6s instead of only on 6s. So
doubling them.
Yeah. Put this on Goblin or Night Goblin Archers. This one is going to see play for sure.
Definitely.
35 points is not that expensive.
No. It's a big block of archers.
Yeah. It's like, try it out. And you're going to like it.
The Banner of the Nomads. Reroll once on the Flee, Pursue, or Charge rolls before discarding any dice that needs to be discarded.
Okay, so this is basically the Bretonnian rule, finest war horses. For the goblins.
At 25 points. This should be on Banner of the Nomads. It goes into that army that really needs.
Yeah, like if you have an important like unit of boar riders, I could see this one being good. Where you really want to make the charge matter, because like with Swift Stride, I kind of think that Swift Stride is part of the charge roll, so you might actually get to re-roll that one as well. I've not seen an FAQ clarification on that, but that's on average 3 dice that you get to re-roll if you make any ones. And each time that you make a charge roll, any result of a 1 can be devastating. So getting a chance to re-roll it is really good. I think 25 points is a good one.
Yeah. But for 5 points more, you get a rampaging banner, and you can re-roll whole charge roll.
Yeah, so it's kind of like both are good, but one is more reliable. Whereas the other one at times can be better. Banner of the Wilds. A unit gains the Move Through Cover special rule. It's kind of situational. I'm not really a fan of the Ignores Move Through, or like the Move Through Cover special rule, because one of the aspects of moving through cover is that you can like ignore the dangerous terrain test, which is nice at times. But when you are moving through difficult to dangerous terrain, then when you make the charge roll, you always need to take the lowest roll, and that is something that you don't get to ignore, even if you have the move through cover special rule.
Yeah. But it's only 20 points.
But 20 points is 20 points.
It is.
So perhaps if you are like up against your wood elf friend.
Well, the Necklace of Blessed Tea, 50 points.
It's an expensive item.
Pricey, but you get to re-roll armor saves, regeneration saves, and ward saves, natural ones.
Okay.
But
I think there is one rule in the game where you can ever like re-roll a re-rolled dice. So if you pair this with the Troll special rule, where you get to re-roll the regeneration save, and then you have like a 1 on the re-roll, then you would not get to re-roll the dice one more time.
So it's not for the trolls, at least.
No. Yeah, not necessarily.
No.
But re-rolling armor saves, that's Dawnstone, which comes in at 35 points, I think. And that's an item that I consider at times. And this one makes it so that you can also re-roll the regeneration and ward saves. Could be strong, actually. Like, if you have I probably would not put this on any model.
This is a PSP or general for sure.
Yeah, general, like, and probably like one on a chariot or a reviver.
Yeah.
You probably want like very good armor saves from the get-go, like a 3+, or even 2+ if you can make it.
Yeah.
And then you get to reroll ones. Ideally, you also have some kind of ward save that you get one additional go at.
Yeah. Pair it with full plate, troll hide, trousers, enchanted shield. Then you have a 3+, 5+, 6+. Then you get to reroll. Yeah. How are you gonna kill that?
Yeah, it's gonna be like really like monster killer or killing blow is always my go-to.
Yeah. And you could have AP and flaming attacks to negate or.
Yeah, but it's an interesting item, expensive.
Yeah, but also
probably balanced.
Expensive to take out.
Yeah.
But the Grizzly Trophy Rack at 30 points. All enemy units within 6 inches of this model gets -1 leadership. Black orcs, bosses, goblin bosses, orc bosses, and night goblin bosses only. So you lower your opponent's leadership by 1.
I kind of want to try this one out in combination with the lore of trolls.
Yeah,
like
lower by 2.
Yeah, lower. Like, so make your opponent's unit stupid.
Yeah,
reduce its leadership by 1, and then you have this a goblin boss around that further reduces the leadership by 1.
Yeah.
Because if you reduce leadership by 2 and then you have stupidity on them, that's really annoying to deal with. Like,
super annoying. But it's only 6 inches.
Only 6 inches.
It's a small. You have to be up close and personal.
But that's kind of the Orc Goblin way.
It is. And you affect if you're within your.
Then we have the Thinking Orcs at 25 points. You get 1 additional initiative, and you get to ignore the Impetuous rule. And I'm not really feeling it, but since you can use this item to like skip the test, which you normally need a Black Orc for, you might be able to like justify including it. It's only 25 points.
Yeah.
It doesn't do much. Like +1 initiative isn't really great, but the flavor of the thinking.
It's fun. It's a flavorful book, the whole Arcane journal.
Yeah, it's flavorful book. So,
but this item I know is a favorite of yours, right?
This is the one item that I did check out beforehand, and I did try to theorize. It's the Staff of Badoom. I'm really loving the name once again. It comes in at 55 points, and it grants the wizard that carries it a +D3 modifier to casting rolls.
Every time he rolls.
Yeah, every time you roll.
A D3.
And that's really huge, because on average, you are putting your wizard level 1 level higher than any opponents.
Yeah.
So you come in at level 5 at minimum, and at times you get to act as a level 7 wizard. And there is one downside. Whenever you roll a double 1 or a double 6 when trying to attempt casting, you explode with a large template at strength 6 with an AP -1.
Yeah.
So there are some significant downsides to this. You can't basically put this guy inside a unit. You probably need to make it so that he stands at that 3 inch away from a unit.
Yeah. You don't want to blast your.
You don't want to blast your own unit, or as was mentioned so many times in this video, put him on a chariot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Put him on a chariot, and then you're fine to go. Because you really don't want to blow away all of your boys. Unless you are aiming for that +1 to cast modifier from being in a unit strength of 10 plus, so that you get like even further increase in your casting.
You can pretty much have a level 8 wizard.
Yeah. So I think this one is like high risk if you go for that strategy.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be.
You're gonna own the magic.
You're gonna own the magic phase.
Yeah.
Like nothing can compete if you have the Staff of Badum.
No.
On average, the opponent is not going to be able to dispel your spells, and you're going to rain havoc on their army. And since magic is so strong in the old world, I think you can actually justify this item very rapidly. It's expensive for sure, but this one is probably like one item that's really competitive.
Play.
And like don't undervalue like the ridiculousness of this item, like don't dismiss this item because it is ridiculous, because it is, and at times you are going to roll at double 1 or double 6. Actually on average you have like a 50-50 chance if you
play a full game.
If you play a full game and you cast like 10 plus spells, then it's like 50. It's like it might actually happen. Every other
it's gonna happen, and it's more likely. I would say, thinking back on my playing career, I would say it's more likely to happen turn 1 than 5. Even if it shouldn't be so.
Mathematically, it shouldn't be so.
No.
I think like having an item that makes it so that you get to cast every spell that you want would be absolutely broken.
Yeah.
And this item almost says that you can. So sure, it's a bit random, the dice are random, but I could imagine like having this one with battle magic and that's raining chaos upon the opponent.
Best case scenario, when you blow up, you're in your opponent's face.
Yeah, and like it might not be that bad to blow up. Like
no,
you could be in combat with the opponent.
And you only take, your wizard only takes 1. If you have a lone wizard into another unit, they take a lot of hits, you take 1.
Yeah, and like if you get a perfect incantation of double 6s, then you still get the spell. Like even if the staff blows up, you still get to cast the spell.
Yeah. Good item. Idol of Gork, plus 3 inches to the cast range and reroll 1 casting roll per turn.
I did play against one person at the Yumio tournament that was really good at utilizing the range.
Yeah.
And that really made me think that these kinds of items are going to be premier. I think being able to like stick around at range 26, 27 and then unloading your medical missiles at suitable targets and then being in range to dispel is really good. And this item also makes it so that you can reroll 1 casting roll.
Yeah.
That's strong.
Strong. 40 points.
Probably worth it. I think that
if you have a mobile wizard, go for it.
Put him on a chariot.
Put him on a chariot. But the last item
is the Hag Brew.
Yeah.
You're with
touching that subject there.
Yeah. You can grant this one to a wizard, orc shamans, goblin shamans, and night goblin shamans only, which makes it so that they can access the lore of troll magic.
Yeah.
And for 25 points, you get access to a kind of weak lore. Sure, it's fun. Is it good?
No, since you get if you're playing the Troll Horde Army of Infamy, your magicians get this.
Yeah. Like, is there a scenario where you want the lore of troll magic? Because you are basically never going to take the signature spell unless you have a bunch of trolls.
No, exactly.
So then you're just going to randomize the spells that you can get from the lore of troll magic. And sure, there are some fun ones in there, but it's going to be so random. And you're paying 25 extra
for a weaker lore, for access to it.
I
don't see this one ever coming into play.
But still, it is an additional option. So there's no downside to it. Like, sure, we get the option to choose the lore of troll magic. And there are going to be people out there that think that this item is fun. And all credit to them. I'm glad that this one is in the game.
Yeah, but
what do you say about the Arcane Journal as a whole? Like,
as a whole, I just have one word. It's pretty much flavorful.
Yeah,
I would say it's bang on, as you were saying earlier, to revive. Having all the core choices in one book and presenting alternative builds in another is great.
Yeah, I like it. I like it as well. I think that there is no downside to the way that they introduce Arcane Journals into the game. At the very start of the old worlds, I thought that they were a bit like sneaky because I was a bit fearful that you would have like Timmy going into a store and then he would want to pick up his first box of Warhammer the Old World, and then someone would give him the Arcane Journal, and then he still wouldn't be able to play the game because it doesn't stat like
Ravenous Hordes.
But I kind of see like the point now of having like the special units inside the Arcane Journal, and then you have the core and main bulk of the models in the Ravenous Hordes.
Yeah.
Kind of makes it so that you have less need to constantly push for new codex and get into that problem where whenever you release one codex, that army is not going to get an update likely until all of the 8 other factions has gotten theirs.
No, this is just a deep dive into each faction.
Yeah, and like a fun one at that.
Absolutely.
And I see that you have something lined up there, Martin.
Just want to touch the subject on the Warhammer community, where they said that the game has been incredibly well received, and it's great that there's so much passion. The scope of the project has grown, so please bear with us.
Yeah. I'm liking the sound of that. I heard Square-Based talk about that.
Yeah.
And I read the article where Danny and JTY are discussing the Orcs and Goblin Arcane Journals as well. And the old world is a success. I think anyone has to see that the interest is way higher than anyone could have expected. And the game is really fun.
It is.
So I'm glad that they are able to openly if not admit that it's a good game, at least nod, hint that it is
they said in the chapter above that it's fair to say that Warhammer the Old World is here to stay, and we've got a wonderful time period to explore.
And with you all of at home watching, we are all the more happy to do so as well. We are just fellow amateur hobbyists. But having the channel, making content and then getting all of the feedback makes it all the more fun. It is a good time for Warhammer for sure.
It is.
So, but with that, we'll catch you all in a future video.
Bye.